This is why, naturally, there's a frustration in the living entity because we cannot be satisfied. So when we understand this, naturally, we can have a sincere prayer. And this sincere prayer is not to ask material benefits or to have a wife or children. It's completely illusory. It doesn't bring happiness. The sincere prayer is, I want you as my object of love. And from there, spiritual life starts. Before it's a business. I want to get out of suffering and I want to forget you. But this does not exist in the transcendental world. It's connected to people who have a contact with the material energy. When we go beyond this conception and we don't search for happiness or to get out of suffering, so we desire pure love. And this is really rare souls who desire this. It's really, really rare. And those Krishna, he takes care of them. So right now, we're in this phase where we enter in contact with this secret. Bhavanam Janmanamante means it can take millions of lives before we can attain it. Because there's so many things to do in this world. As long as there's the little minutest desire, then we have to stay. When we don't have any more desire, then we surrender. Krishna says, Mahatma Sutulabha, it's extremely rare. It's really rare. Someone who desires to be a pure devotee. But even if it's rare, we can attain this platform simply through good association. For example, we can become like a rascal by having wrong association. We can become a pure devotee by associating with pure devotees. That's why the best place is where there are devotees of the Lord. Because next to the devotees, we hear the glories of the Lord, we chant His names, we eat His remnants, we worship His form, and more we develop the desire. As soon as we get out of the association of devotees, we speak about spiritual life, this and that, but everything is connected to body, and we forget our reality. There are two conditions: either we nourish our eternal reality, or either we cover it. But we don't have choice. There's no in between. It's like that. Because even in personal philosophy, they forget that. They want to destroy their reality. For example, the soul is eternally connected to the Supreme Lord, but the impersonalist, he wants to destroy his reality and his connection with the Supreme Lord. But this is completely contradictory. You know what I mean? That's why our goal should be to develop a pure desire and help others to develop this desire. So we will chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Ao Sanatam Bhavatasmad Yadvayam. Trivistapanam Hapi Duradarshanam. Premasmitam Snigdam Nilik Sananam. Vashim Marupam Tavam Sarva Sobhagam. Ao Sanatam Bhavatasmayadvayam. Trivistapanam Api Duradarshanam.
Premasmita snigdam niriksham nananam. Pashim marupam tava sarvasobhagam. Aho sanatam bhavatasmayat vayam. Aho sanatam bhavatasmayat vayam. Vistapanam api duradarshanam. Premasmita snigdam nilakshananam. Pashim marupam tava sarvasobhagam. Traduction.
Translation.
Ô combien nous sommes fortunés
How fortunate we are to have you
comme
again
notre maître,
as our
et
master,
de contempler ton
and to
visage
contemplate
souriant
your
et
smiling face full of
plein de
love,
regards affectueux,
full of
et de
affectionate
regarder ta forme dotée de bon augure,
gazes,
que
and to
même les
look your
demi-dieux ne voient que très
to
rarement.
have a vision of your
Commentaire.
beautiful form.
Les demi-dieux ont une
The
dévotion
demigods
mixte.
have a
C'est
mixed
pourquoi le
devotion.
Seigneur
This
ne
is
se
why the
montre que
Lord
très
does
rarement à
show
eux, alors que
himself
les
very
habitants de
rarely,
Dwarka peuvent
but
le
the
contempler
inhabitants of
directement,
Dwarka
parce que
can
leur dévotion
contemplate it
est pure.
directly because their devotion is pure.
Om Agana Timilandasya, Ganam Janam Shalakaya, Shakshur Meditanjani, Taisme Shigula Venam, Namam Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinandi, Namaste Sarasvati Devi, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirveshesha Sunyavadi, Prachatyarishatari. Dans cette petite teneur importante,
In this small purport,
c'est expliqué pourquoi
it
nous
is
ne pouvons
explained
pas
why
directement voir le
we
Seigneur.
cannot directly see the Supreme Lord. Bhaktivam
On
Bijanati.
peut voir
We can
le
see
Seigneur qu'avec
the
la
Lord
dévotion.
only through pure devotion.
J'existe pour toi.
I exist for you.
Je ne respire que pour
I breathe only for you.
Je n'agis que pour toi.
I act for
Je ne
you.
pense qu'à toi.
I think only about you. This is pure love.
Quand il y a ce mécanisme qui apparaît,
When there's this mechanism that appears in us, so Krishna, what does he do? He lives only for us, he thinks only about us.
Il a dit dans la Bhagavad Gita,
He said in the Bhagavad Gita, Yatamam
le
prapadyante,
réciproque,
I reciprocate with the feeling of living beings.
C'est pourquoi
This is why
on ne peut voir le Seigneur suprême,
we can see the Supreme Lord with pure love.
et cet amour pur,
And this pure love
il est difficile à
is
avoir.
difficult to have. Why?
Parce que
Because Krishna
comble aussi tous les
fulfills
désirs des êtres vivants.
all the desires of the living entities. Why are we in this world?
C'est parce que nous désirons
It is because we desire
le
to
Seigneur.
imitate the Supreme Lord.
Si nous observons,
If we observe,
il nous donne l'univers.
He gives us the universe.
Nous sommes sur la terre,
We are on the
dans
earth
l'âme conditionnée.
as a
Et
conditioned
dans
soul,
cette condition,
and in this
nous
condition,
nous tous pour des êtres
we all
indépendants.
think we're independent beings. True or not?
Mais on n'est en rien indépendant.
But we are never independent.
C'est expliqué qu'il est
It
même
is explained that
digestion.
even the Krishna is the fire of digestion. He is the remembrances in the heart of everyone
En tant que l'âme suprême.
as the super soul.
Mais
But
l'énergie qu'il déploie,
the energy that he uses, the material energy, is so sophisticated
qu'elle nous voile,
that she covers
et
us
qu'elle nous fait penser
and she
que nous
makes
sommes
us think
indépendants.
that we're
Et c'est ça,
independent.
le cadeau
And this is
du
the
Seigneur
gift
suprême. Parce
of the
qu'il
Supreme
permet
Lord
de combler
because he allows
un
us
désir
to
qui
fulfill
est
our desire,
impossible
a
d'avoir,
desire that is
parce qu'il est
impossible to
partout.
have
C'est
because it's
impossible de
everywhere.
l'oublier.
It's impossible to
Impossible de
forget
pas
God. It's impossible
Parce
to
qu'il
not see
donne
Him
le fruit de l'acte
because He
de
gives the
chaque
fruit of activities to
être.
all
Il
living
accompagne les
beings.
êtres vie après
He
vie.
accompanies each
C'est
entity life
expliqué que
after
pour les
life.
êtres
It is
vertueux,
explained that
il
for
apparaît
those
même dans la
pious
matrice, au
entities,
bébé.
He
Le
even
bébé
appears
peut
in the
prier,
womb and the
faut pas
baby can
l'oublier. Et
pray,
dès que le bébé
not
sort
to
de la
forget Him.
matrice,
And as soon as the baby
alors il
gets out of
devient
the womb,
emporté par l'énergie
so he
matérielle et
becomes
corporative.
hypnotized by
Alors,
the
Vishwanath Chakravarti
material
est très
energy.
converti. C'est
Vishwanath
pour
Chakravarti Thakur says,
cette vision du Seigneur suprême.
virtuous people,
Parfois, les
not
dévots, ils
ordinary
sont
people, can have a vision of the Lord
vraiment
in the womb.
Vishwanath Chakravarti
Vishwanath Chakravarti
explique bien,
Thakur
c'est des
explains
êtres
that they are very pious people who can see the Lord in the womb, and they offer prayers in the womb. It's particular, no? Why? Because what happens is that in the womb of the mother, the living entity is in a situation, he is like the head upside down in a very difficult condition. And there's all kinds of food that the mother eats that hurt him. There's a lot of suffering in the womb of a mother. Sometimes the mother, she can be illusion like my baby is so good in my belly, but it's not the reality. What Srimad Bhagavatam explains, he explains there's a lot of suffering. The baby cannot move in the womb. The mother thinks, no, he's giving me a little he's hitting me with love with his feet, but it's not like that. It's because he's suffering. And the very pious person, he remembers of his previous lives at this point, and he offers prayers to the Lord, and the Lord appears in his heart. He sees him and he says, Lord, please make me, I don't never forget you ever. And as soon as he comes out of the womb of the material energy is so strong that he starts to forget, and he's taken into fruitive activity. Simply at some point, the one who was pious so can realize what I'm doing here. I'm surrounded by things that hypnotize me. And then the Lord, he helps him and he takes again his devotional service. It is explained that from there, his strength of devotion is so strong that it will be just like he never experienced these few years before his previous life. It harmonizes this so to the point that he can even forget any connection with this world, with a mother, with a father. He can be completely detached. Can you believe it? He's free. Because as soon as there is attachment, what is attachment? Just like it's just like a stick with a rope. When you're attached, you cannot get out of it. You can say, I'm detached myself, and attachment comes back and you go back. It's just like a rope. The rope you can move around with the rope, but you're still attached. The one is pious, he is freed from all attachments. He can completely surrender to the Lord. Otherwise, it is not possible. The attachment will always come to get you. For example, someone can say today, I will surrender to the Lord. 2 weeks later, you see they think about the material energy. It's not possible. As long as there is not this attachment for the Supreme Lord, you cannot detach yourself to another attachment. So we have to attach ourselves to a superior attachment. So since the Lord has a beauty that is inconceivable and qualities inconceivable, as soon as we perceive even just a little bit of the qualities of the Lord, everything seems insignificant. And then we have the strength to go deeper in our relationship with the Lord. For example, I have a devotee, a young devotee, who sent me a mail. And he's someone who is not necessarily very advanced in devotion. And it surprised me because he sent me a mail by saying, I won't say who he is, so that it stays intimate, but he told me my parents invited me to spend a vacation with them for a week, and then I find myself in an ocean of suffering because I find myself with people who speak only about the illusion, and it surprised me. Because as soon as we have the habit to be within the truth is true. It has taste. As soon as we speak about things in connection with the material illusion, of everything that will disappear, it will be just like there'll be no substance. And even if we find ourselves with people who have hatred, we were attached to, we did everything for them, but in connection with them, life seems useless. And then we think, what's happening? This is the proof that we progress. Then the Lord can take us back. He already took us back. It's just a question of time. Because we cannot manage to be in contact with something that is false. And I remember I had this experience once.
j'étais revenu,
I
mes
came
parents
back.
m'avaient prêté
My parents
un appartement,
gave me an
enfin leur
apartment,
appartement. Ils
like
avaient
lent me an
des appartements
apartment.
verts qui étaient
They had
assez
a
petits. C'était
small house
un
somewhere else.
ancien poulailler qu'ils ont, mon père il a refait.
My
Ils ont
father
refait,
built
donc
again.
maintenant
It used to
il y a
be
des
a
pièces
chicken
avec un
box.
petit terrain. La
It
maison,
had a small
elle fait
land.
pas la pièce, elle fait
The house
la moitié de la pièce, quoi.
is half of the room here,
Et
and
donc il nous avait prêté cet appartement pour
he
qu'on
gave
fasse
us
un
his
autre centre.
apartment so that we
On
could
avait
make a
fait un
center.
immeuble en
So we did
93
into a
avec
building in
on avait construit
93 district of Paris,
un
and we
temple. En
built
bois, il
a
était
temple,
tellement
a
lourd que ça
wooden
avait
temple.
fissuré la dalle
It was so heavy that it
de
broke
l'immeuble.
the room of the floor of the
N'importe
building.
quoi, le truc. Ça pesait une tonne, c'était
It
en
was
aluminium,
like
tout ça.
1 ton, and it was in aluminium.
C'était un soulevable, ce
It
truc.
was
C'était tu
impossible
vois,
to
c'était
move.
une tonne 5, je sais pas, c'était super lourd.
It was very heavy.
Et il y
And
avait une concierge, elle se méfiait de nous.
we
Elle
had
frappait
like a
à la porte, je
janitor.
rentrais,
She
elle
was
essayait de
afraid of us.
la
She
porte
came
ouverte, elle
inside.
avait un trafic
She
d'armes,
thought we're trafficking weapons, arms.
n'importe quoi.
It's
Et,
crazy. And then
voilà, donc on faisait un
we
programme.
were
Et je
doing
me
a
rappelle,
program, and I
le voisin au
remember
sous-sol,
the neighbor
on
in the
pouvait même pas faire
basement.
de bruit à
We could not
4 heures.
even do noise at
On
4:30 in the
avait des
morning.
petites cymbales,
So with small
des
cymbals,
petites
very
bruits de
small,
cymbales. Et on faisait,
we were
on
just
chantait
like chanting, but very softly.
et pour danser et
And to
sauter,
dance
on
and
faisait comme ça
jump,
sans faire de bruit.
we're doing like that without doing any
Je
noise,
me
you know.
rappelle, c'était quelque chose. Et dès qu'elle entendait un
And as
bruit,
soon as
elle
she
tapait
was
sur la
hearing a
fenêtre.
noise, she will hit on the roof.
C'était l'ambiance. Et
It
même
was
quand
like
on
the
prenait une
mood.
douche à 3 heures
And
du
even when
matin,
we
on
were
se
taking a
retrouvait
shower
dehors.
at 3 o'clock in the
Ça
morning,
appelait
she
tous ces
was
ils prennent
going
pas ces
crazy.
gens, ils
She was
prennent des
thinking
douches
they
à 2
don't
heures du
sleep,
matin.
they take showers at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Mais bon, elle me connaissait depuis tout petit.
But she knew me
Madame
since I was very
Marie,
young.
c'est espagnol, très
She was
gentil.
a Spanish
Elle
lady,
me
very
connaissait
kind.
depuis tout
But
petit,
she knew
elle
us since we
tolérait.
were very young. She was
C'était
tolerating
super, elle
us.
tolérait.
But it was
Et donc,
unbearable for her.
je me rappelle
And
d'une
I
fois,
remember once,
donc parce que dans ma
because
vie d'avant, je
in
faisais
my
partie
previous
d'un
life,
gang, et
I was part of a
dans le
gang.
gang,
And
il y a
in
une amitié
gangs,
très forte avec
there's very strong
très fort,
friendship
parce
with
que
people.
quand tu
Because
sauves la
when
vie à quelqu'un,
you save the
c'est
life
parce
of
que tu as
someone,
c'est
you
vraiment
risk your
une
life for
amitié qui
them.
est très difficile à
There's a
c'est
friendship that
comme
is
la
very
guerre.
difficult to
Les gens qui ont
understand.
fait
It's
la
just like
guerre,
in
ils
war.
ont une amitié
People who did war, they
très
have
très très
friendship,
forte.
all the
Tu ne
strong
peux
friendship
pas,
all their
tu
life
ne
with the
sais
other
tu peux pas
soldiers.
faire autrement.
You cannot do otherwise. There's something.
Mais pour la vie
And
spirituelle, j'avais dû
for spiritual life,
revenir parce que c'était trop dangereux
I
de
had
revenir dans ces
to get out
choses.
of this because it was
Ces
too dangerous
attachements
to
qu'on
be in
peut
these
voir, ça
things.
fait parfois
These
devenir une
attachments, we have
personne
to fight them to
dangereuse.
become another person. I had to cut
Et
myself from these people.
donc, un de mes
And
anciens amis qui
one
était en
of
chaise
my
roulante,
ancient
et
friends who
mon
was
rêve,
in
dans la
a
chambre,
wheelchair,
un
he
jour,
was
il
in a
m'appelle
wheelchair.
comme ça. Il
One
me
day
dit,
he called me.
écoute,
He said, "Oh, Willie,
on est de nouveaux voisins, on peut se
we're
voir.
new neighbors. We can see
Et,
each other."
et donc, je me suis dit, waouh,
And I thought to myself, "Whoa,
comment je vais faire?
how will I be able to do it?"
Et donc, j'ai été le voir.
And so I went to see him.
Et il devait me revoir avec plein de gens. Donc, ce
He
qu'il a
had
fait, c'est
to
que
come and see me with many people.
Et pour pas voir tout le monde.
So I tried not to see everyone.
Mais quand même,
But still,
quand je suis reparti,
when I
sans
left,
voir tout le monde,
before seeing
je me suis
everyone,
retourné pour voir
I
si je ne voyais
checked
pas une personne.
if I did not meet a person I met from before, I knew before. And I felt that Krishna was abandoning me at that time. I felt that Krishna was moving away from me. I felt so scared. And that he was allowing me to choose. What do you want? Me or them? And then I never repent so much in my life. Never was I so much afraid in my life. It lasts for some time because Krishna is very exclusive. This love that we must have towards Krishna, you feel it directly in you. Krishna shows himself. Krishna speaks to his devotee. He can protect his devotee. He can heal his pain. He can do everything directly. It is a direct experience. But when Krishna wants to test his devotee, and he hides himself even for a little bit, it's unbearable for the devotee. It's the worst suffering because everything next to it is so small. Krishna can take everything away from him, but as soon as Krishna moves away from his devotee, the devotee becomes in a state of of distress. It's like the entire universe was empty. I remember this time I never started again. I never looked at the material universe again. Never. Never. Krishna gave me a lesson to stay with him. Because this is the principle of love. We can love someone in this world, but it's insignificant. But still it looks big. But our attachment can disappear. Because someone more beautiful can come, someone more rich, more intelligent, more this, more that. We think that we'll not be able to forget, but finally we forget. Love becomes less and less powerful. Everyone had this experience, to love someone by saying, it's impossible that he leaves me, he is my soulmate. True or not? And we realize that finally today, where is this love? Even if a little bit is left, what is the nature of this love? So if we can have that with the little soul, imagine with the super soul. It's inconceivable. That's why as soon as we start to taste this love with Krishna, we become humble. We cannot stop. Even if he gives us so much suffering, he abandons us, we have troubles, we cannot. Because we cannot let go of this love. That's why a devotee who lets go of the Lord is because he did not have contact with him. There's no experience. When experience is there, you cannot move away. It's impossible. And a devotee, he can understand this because by his own experience, he's ready to accept everything for him. That's why, for example, a devotee becomes a preacher. The Lord tells him, help living entities. Help them to attain me. This is my desire. He gives his life to help the others. But it's so difficult. Nobody wants to go back to Krishna in this form. Nobody. And when people worship God, it's just to have happiness or to get out of suffering. Nobody wants to surrender to God. It's extremely difficult. But as soon as we go in this path of Sharanagati, giving ourselves, even if the Lord shows himself a little bit, and we see a little bit his beauty, his smile, his pastimes, even a little bit, it's finished. We cannot go backtrack. It's an experience we cannot describe. And this is why people don't understand. We're ready to let go of our reputation, money, woman. I didn't touch a woman for 30 years. If you say that to a materialist, they say you're crazy. When I tell them, they say it's not possible. It's not possible. It's impossible. Because honey in this world is sex life. But the one who has the experience of Krishna, he rejects sex life like something inferior, like something contrary to pure love. It's crazy. Because pure love has a substance that does not exist in this world. It's two opposite worlds. What we call love in this world is lust. It is a love that is separated from the Supreme Lord. We look for this love for ourselves. When we're situated with the Supreme Lord, this relationship we call prema. And when this relationship is forgotten and we want to transport it with another being, it's called kama, lust. And Krishna explains, Arjuna, he has this question, but what is it that beings, they destroy each other in this one? And Krishna says it is lust. It is just like a fire, because the living entity, when he is unsatisfied, to look for enjoyment, he develops greed, anger. And this anger brings destruction of consciousness, of spiritual consciousness, and the living entity falls into ignorance. And because of that, the living being can do anything. Why do you think this world goes wrong? It's simply lust. People are ready to do anything to have money, to have power, to have a woman. Why do you think that your best friend can desire your wife, for example? Because lust pushes the living entity to do crazy things. People, they have sex with animals for sex life. They forget everything. They wander like ghosts. They're possessed by desires, possessed by the desires. They forget all of the reality. It's terrible. They cannot even stop. They're forced by passion. Raja, passion. That's why we have to get out of this. There's a form of slavery. It is explained that we're always dominated by the energies of the Lord because we're a minute energy, Jiva Tattva. We can be either dominated by the material energy or either by the energy of love. This is lust because we want to separate ourselves from Him, so we are possessed by envy, by lust, by greed, by madness. We call that the 6 enemies of the heart. War in our heart. But when we surrender to the Supreme Lord, so the Lord takes away all this illusion and He comes in the heart of His devotee to protect him. And this is an experience. It's not just a belief, it is an experience. And according to the degree of love that we develop, the Lord manifests in a certain way. For example, we're not interested to worship Krishna as the Supreme Lord, the Creator. It doesn't give us as much bliss, but then to have Him as our friend, like our beloved. Vrindavan is the kingdom of the Lord. It's intimacy. When He is in His aspect of Creator, then it's different. But when He is at home, so the divinity, she becomes like, she disappears and he becomes the object of love. That's why we love Krishna. Certain worship Hala. It's the same person, but it's different aspects. And you see, for example, a Muslim, he will be more afraid in his relationship. It's the same person, but there are aspects more intimate and more in power. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains one thing. It's not the greatness of the Lord. She erases love, because when there is strength, we're afraid. She reduces when there is strength, so there cannot be relationship when there is power, because we see the greatness of the Lord. So He doesn't need to eat, to sleep, to enjoy. We cannot kiss Him because He's the Supreme Lord. He creates everything, you understand? In the Bhagavad Gita, it is well explained. When Krishna shows the universal form to Arjuna, Arjuna was trembling, was saying, "Whoa, Lord, I made offenses. I called you my friend, but you were the creator of the universe." Krishna took back his form to calm him. But he said, "Now you will worship this form." He was joking with him. There were millions of heads and arms and fire everywhere. Time, death. And as soon as Krishna took back his form, then Arjuna was soothed. In the same way, if we develop this intimate desire to be with the Supreme Lord, like our friend, like we said the other day, that He is our friend, that He is everything for us, so all our desires will be fulfilled. That's why we say that a pure devotee is without material desires, because his only desire is Krishna, because he fulfills all the functions of all
Et bien
living
sûr,
entities.
ce qu'il y a de plus merveilleux, c'est que dans la
And
demeure
of
de
course, what
Krishna,
is
il y a des
most
êtres
wonderful is that
partout qui sont
in the
semblables,
abode of the Lord there are
aussi
living
aussi
beings
beaux, aussi merveilleux.
who are
Ceux qui
as
sont comme
beautiful,
c'est ses amis.
as
Il y a
wonderful.
même des
They're
animaux,
his
il y a
friends.
même des arbres.
There are even friends, even
Et ce
trees.
pas des arbres ordinaires.
But they are no
Ruchandas
ordinary
Thakur,
trees.
dans
Luchandas
Chaitanya
Thakur
il dit par
in
exemple
Chaitanya
que le
Mangali says
Kalpavriksha,
the
l'arbre qui
Kalpavriksha,
compte tous les
the
souhaits,
wish fulfilling tree,
à l'origine, c'est Mahaprabhu.
at its origin is Mahaprabhu.
Parce que Mahaprabhu, le
Because
Seigneur
Mahaprabhu, the Lord,
donc il y a même
he
des
fulfills
arbres
all
qui ont cette
desires.
nature de combler tous
Because
les
there are some
besoins
trees that have
transcendants.
this nature
Mais on n'a pas de désir pour nous-mêmes.
to help in
Parce
the
que
transcendental
on
world.
a le
Because we do
bien-être
not have desire for ourselves, because we have supreme love. When you love someone, you have no more desire for yourself. You desire that he is happy. It's the principle of love. You sacrifice for a person, but in the material, what if don't choose the right person? We suffer so much. Once I saw like a meeting. There was a Belgian minister who was prostitute for years. She was like, she was staying on the street for like 5 years or something. And what happened is that she met a man, like a amazing man, and he was taking her everywhere to do the party, and it was so wonderful. And one day he told her he didn't have any more money. He said, "I'm sorry, it will be terrible." And then she said, "What can I do for you?" And he said, "It's simple. I have a friend. If you do that with him for money, then we can do it." So he was a proxenate, he was a pimp. So she found herself 5 years in the street. He cheated her. To fall in love is not so simple. There are professionals of cheating, even of feelings. In this world, we're ready to lie to enjoy a person. Even some people here don't understand because they didn't have this experience. But the one who was in matter can understand that to have someone we are ready to lie to do anything, make believe feelings, and once we have the person, we reject. It destroys. When you have these experiences, it's finished after. You cannot be chaste anymore. You cannot be right. You're forced to, you're obliged to be scared of everyone because it took your purity. It's terrible. Because that's why as soon as we meet the Supreme Lord, we take hope again. Because everything is pure. And we can understand that it is true. The deepest recesses of our heart, with the soul, that we can have this experience. And once we meet Krishna, so we are never cheated anymore. Because as soon as we see this love and we see our relationship with Radha and Krishna, it's so pure that it cannot awaken lust in us anymore. It destroys it completely and it awakens pure love. That's why, by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, which is not different from Radha Krishna and Mahaprabhu, we can gradually have this experience. Because everything is there in the Lord, in the name, the form, the qualities, the pastimes of the Lord. And in His pastimes, we're a part of it. So when we chant the name without offenses being surrendered, so all these things will happen to us. Thank you very much.